Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm Jason Enrique. No Ashley Zoo today. She's off. But yet we still have a lovely, very special guest with us today. We have none other than Mar Ortiz. What's going on, Mar?
What's up? I'm so lovely. No.
No, well, listen, before we started recording, I did mention to you that I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, way before I think I even started doing video with the podcast. I mean, because I became a fan of yours, from your own podcast, which is called What This Is Life, which I'm looking forward to, hoping you bring him back soon, because I was really enjoying everything that you're doing. I loved your personality, and you made some great points and so on and so forth. And, but we'll get into everything. We'll get into all of that. We'll get into the whole life of Mar Ortiz and everything. But first things first, let's get things out of the way.
I'm blushing. Jeez. That was such a nice intro.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for coming through. And we're here live in Bravery Studios in lovely Garfield, New Jersey. We have Steve, the engineer, behind the glass. Thank you so much, Steve, as always, for doing a great job. So let's start off at the beginning. So where does the story of Mar Ortiz begin? Where were you born and raised?
Well, it started out in my mother's fetus, and then then I saw the light. No, I'm kidding. The story of Mar. I grew up in Passaic, and born and raised in Passaic. I moved around. I moved around a little bit. My family, we moved. Like, I lived very briefly in Puerto Rico, briefly in Florida. Thank God we're not there anymore.
Thank God. What part of Florida, I gotta ask?
Kissimmee.
Oh, Kissimmee. Okay, all right. Yeah.
Kissimmee. Yeah. I don't know. Kissimmee.
Whatever. Yeah.
It's one of those. And then we lived in the Bronx briefly, very briefly, maybe like a year. And then we came back to Passaic. And then, born and raised in Passaic.
Okay. And I guess, moving around and stuff like that, whether it was in Florida, Puerto Rico, Passaic, and, where you live now, like, what would you say? Let's stick with Jersey for the moment, because you are a Jersey girl. We talked about our Jersey accents earlier.
100% Jersey.
Yeah. So, I mean, how would you explain your experience personally growing up in this lovely state of New Jersey?
I have to say that I also travel a lot, and I've been to so many places in the U.S. Like, I went to the West Coast, to Cali, just realized after all that, like, Jersey is my favorite place in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
Like, I love Jersey. Not because I'm from here, but it's just the diversity for me. Like, I have family down south in South Carolina, and like, I go visit. Not often, but I go when I've been down there, and I'm like, I need to go back to Jersey. Like, I look at me, Jersey. I need to, like, see the diversity, and that it's it for me. Like, we're so close to the city. We want to go to New York. It's just everything.
Yeah, I mean, and the state itself is thriving because because of everything that's been going on right now, and all this change that's going on. I guess the point that I'm getting at right here is, even Governor Murphy had said that they're trying to turn New Jersey to the California of the East Coast. Right. And part of that is they're starting to do a lot of filmmaking here. I guess they're building like a whole bunch of new studio lots here. They're doing a lot more shooting here.
Right.
I think they're going to start one in Fort Lee, if I'm not mistaken. They already opened up a huge studio lot in Jersey City on exit 14B. So it's happening, and I think we're going to actually see a lot more filming and a lot more artists coming out of the state.
Right. Well, Jersey's always been popping. Like, we've always had like really good artists coming out of New Jersey. So
oh, absolutely.
Governor Murphy was like the sauce that we needed. He was the salsa. He was literally what we needed for this state to progress and be so I can't even talk today. Progressive, because before that, who do we have? Governor Christie.
We had Christie, and then we had Corzine.
Yeah, no, we needed someone like our governor.
Forward thinking.
And so now the state, I just see, like I said, going back to diversity, like, he is inclusive. Like, it's just amazing to be here. And I've seen the growth. Like, everyone wants to live here, and all the New Yorkers too. Like, apparently they all want to move here, especially after the pandemic. So in a way, I'm like, New Yorkers, stay in your lane. Like, stay over there. Leave the jerseys in Jersey.
It's like they want to come.
Jerseyans, you know?
Yeah, it's like they want to come here, but yet they still want to complain, especially with the high tax brackets and everything. So
right, like how you come into Jersey and you still complaining? Like, go back to New York.
Yeah, but I get what you're totally saying, because I mentioned before that I did live in Florida. Initially, I moved there when I was younger. It was, not my choice. I was a minor, so I had to go where my mom said.
Right.
But as soon as I was of legal age, I said, deuces, I am getting the fuck up out of here and going back to where I belong. And you're right, because I haven't done a lot of traveling in my life, unfortunately. I'm trying to change that. But for the places that I have traveled to, I enjoy myself. I have a good time. I decompress and everything, but I just always, the state is like a magnet. I always feel like I have to come back, because at the end of the day, listen, I understand that this state has its problems and everything. It's not a perfect place, but in my eyes, it just feels like home. I feel like I'm supposed to be here, and live or die in New Jersey. I think that's the way that's going to be with me, and I'm proud to be from the state. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I also feel like New Jerseyans, we're kind of ride or die, and we're so real.
Right.
So yeah.
However, there may be some people that may wonder about your Jersey credentials, because I do know that you have never had a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese before in your life.
Oh yeah. I did mention that, and I just honestly, it's the smell of the ham or the it's just not my thing.
Right.
But
and by the way, it is a Taylor ham, not a pork roll. Continue.
I'm like, I don't know the difference, but
well, people up north call it Taylor ham. People down south call it pork roll.
Oh, so, okay. It's Taylor ham.
Yes,
for sure. Even though I've never had one, I know that's what it is.
It just sounds more appealing. I
right,
mean, pork roll.
Right.
That doesn't sound very appetizing to me. I'm sorry.
Right, but I do get a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Okay.
Bacon,
right.
egg, and cheese is
bacon,
my
egg,
thing.
Yeah.
Bacon, egg, and cheese. Let me get a bacon, egg, and cheese.
But yeah, so continue on with you. I mean, one of the first and foremost, I got to discover you and find out about you because one of our mutual friends, My Mix, shout out to My Mix of the My Mix Show. I watch her show very often, and I've been one of her biggest supporters, and she's one of my dear friends. And
shout out to Sally.
Yes, and it's Sally, not Celie, by the way.
It is, I said it right.
No, but there's people out there that have butchered it, so we just I want to let the masses know.
I said it right though, right?
No, you did,
okay.
But I got to let the masses know how to properly say it. So
I got confused for a second. I'm like, did I say it wrong?
No, you're good. But so I caught your when you were featured on her show, and then I was interested because of your story and how you came across, and I wanted to find out more about you. So I checked out the reality TV show that you were on, and I'm going to let you say it because I feel like I always butcher it.
Wait. So that was
back in 2015. Were you
Insta-stalking me? No. That sounds like Insta-stalking, right, Steve? No. I'm kidding.
I call it research.
He was new term, research. I was researching you. No. So I was on a show called Big Women, Big Love.
There you go, yeah.
And yeah, that was a time. And we just actually got on Hulu a day ago. And I didn't even know until a fan started commenting on a random picture, and she's like, oh my God, I saw you on Hulu. And I was getting slowly a lot of different followers. So I'm like, wait, I haven't had a spike in followers in a long time since the show. So I was kind of like, what is this? And then when the fan commented, I was like, oh, it's on Hulu? I'm really famous now. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't think that. But I was just like, wow, that's really big. It's like getting on Netflix because our show has been really hard to find. And I feel like if they would have put it on platforms like Hulu or Netflix when it aired, I think it would have probably spiraled into a different realm.
Because it only lasted one season, right?
It lasted one season. We were actually signed for 2, but I think them putting us on Lifetime was kind of like, I don't know.
It was probably the wrong demographic. I mean, you probably would have thrived on maybe AMC or something like that, or maybe Bravo, because that's what their target audience is. Lifetime, I think they were trying to, early on in the process, that they were trying to dip their toe into the reality TV thing because they saw Bravo and AMC actually, being successful in it.
Right.
So I think I think you guys were on the infancy of when Lifetime tried to do what they're doing now.
Yeah, they were probably trying. I'm not sure how that works, but
I'm just speculating.
No, they did have a successful show, Little Women, and they were successful for a period of time. So then they wanted big women. I guess it made sense, but I don't know if our show. It's weird. Our show felt really popular, and it was right in the beginning of the plus size movement.
Right. The whole Ashley Graham thing and
before
everything.
You got Ashley Graham, before you got Lizzo out here, like our show was so revolutionary. And now that I'm looking back at it, I was like, wow, this is like right before the plus size movement really happened. If we had a season 2 maybe on a different network like MTV, VH1, I feel like it would have spiraled into something different.
Or if it premiered on a streaming site like now, like Netflix or Hulu or anything.
Right, because, people love to stream and binge things, I
binged the entire series of Jersey Shore during the pandemic, and I never seen it prior, so.
Right. Oh, and speaking of Jersey Shore, the creators of our show, they're the creators of Jersey Shore.
456 or something like that?
495
495, yeah. Excuse me.
So, I don't know. It just happened. That's okay. Like everyone's like, oh my God, the show went away, and I hear it all the time. People want it back. Even now, I do keep in touch with a few of the girls. There's one in particular that doesn't speak to any of us. I think she doesn't want to associate. I can't speak for her, but I feel like she doesn't want to associate with the show at all. For me, it was definitely my life was documented in that period of time, and I watched an episode yesterday, and I really was like cringing. I really was. Like I was like, well, because it was like I was in a toxic relationship. I had that, that relationship does trigger me, seeing that person. So I kind of was like, oh my God. I started to feel everything that I felt at that time, because for me, it was very real. And what people think with reality shows, they're like, are you holding a cue card? Are they telling you what to do? What they do is they film you. They tell you, be yourself, right? The editing is where it could seem that it's not real, because the way they edit you. But for me, everything that I was on the show is who you get, because I wasn't pretending at all. It was not a character. That's who I am. So, but yeah, it was like I documented my life in that period, which was actually a great thing, because seeing where I am now and how I got out of a toxic relationship, which is so difficult when you invest the time and you love a person and you're thinking that's the person, and you realize this is not the person. Right? Yeah. It's that simple. And then you're like, okay, I got to move on with my life and start over. And I'm just very grateful. Like I live in gratitude now, because I was in a really, really confused state and dark place in my life. When you're with the wrong person, or the person that's not for you, they will drain your soul, your life, everything. And it's like not a good thing. But yeah, it's, again, and in a weird way, like I'm grateful for that relationship, because it pushed me to go to therapy. It pushed me to work on boundaries, work on my relationships. A lot of friendships came and went also. And right now I have, the friends that I have are my lifers. Like these are people that I know are my people. Right. And I got to that place because I had to open up my eyes finally and say, and also accept what I did wrong, because I'm not, like, no one's perfect, so I was like, okay, I allowed certain things to happen, forgive, let it go.
Yeah. Now, going back to the show a little bit, I wanted to discuss something which I thought was kind of interesting, and I kind of want to get your take on this. So you were on the series Big Women, Big Love. Did I say that right? Yeah. Because I feel like I always butcher it. So Big Women, Big Love. Now, the interesting thing is that you had mentioned that this is just when, the whole plus size movement had started, and, they were, taking it by storm. However, even though you've mentioned before that you're not a skinny girl, there was a lot of people that didn't think that you qualified as a plus size. They figured like, so there was still a little bit of discrimination towards a whole bunch of other people, and even with some of the cast. Like they feel like that you weren't really a plus size girl, even though you're kind of like somewhere in the middle. So
I'm definitely stuck in the middle. Like I've always been like, I understood why they thought that, because they were a lot heavier than me, but I'm curvy and I'm also Latina, so I have like the waist, the butt. You know what's funny? My mom the other day goes, oh my God, you look like you have a BBL. I said, what? Are you calling me fat, Mom? And she's like, no, your butt looks really big. I was like, that's the Puerto Rican in me. Like, hello. I was like, you know, it's real when it jiggles. I was like, this thing jiggles. But so yeah, like going back to that, they were kind of like, what are you doing here? They were kind of like, you know. But I always felt like I was plus size because of the fact that I had to buy a certain size. I was not a size 0. I was not a size 8. I was literally like a size 14, 16. You know, that's where I fall under, and that's plus size. So I was like, just because I kind of look small, I'm not, you know? But yeah, the girls were like, she's not that big. Which I'm like, what do you mean? How do you tell somebody you're not that big?
It could, I'm just speculating
I'm like, I still got a fupa.
I mean, I'm just speculating here, but it could have been like you know, maybe for lack of a better term, like a sense of jealousy, because even though you're not a skinny girl, you know, you're still kind of like in the middle, and you're also pretty enough to actually date as regular as a regular person, where these plus size women actually had difficult even getting a first date. So maybe it could have been a little bit of jealousy in that aspect, not just from the size aspect, but just from lifestyle aspect. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is the guy's point of view. It kind of sounds like a male point of view, but I think a lot of men are into bigger women. Period. Like, they might not say it. They're gonna get the trophy wife if they want the trophy wife, but they prefer the thickness of a bigger woman.
And I honestly believe that men have always liked it, but it's just back then it was kind of considered taboo. Like, I'll even tell you right now, and you know, excuse anybody if this comes off as like offensive or anything. That's not my intention here. But I've had one of the things that I've seen with my own 2 eyes, like I've even had friends or family members where they look at the type of you know, girl that I'm talking to or whatever, and they're completely vain and the whole nine, and they used to be to me like, they would go like, oh, Jay likes them fat bitches.
Not fat bitches.
I'm not even kidding, those terms. And
what would you say to them?
I mean, I would just, you know, give them the middle finger and say fuck you or something, because first of all, like why use that terminology anyway?
That's so crazy. Yeah,
it's just pure male toxicity. That's all it was.
Sounds 100% like male toxicity, and I just think that it's just, I don't even know how to respond to that, but like not fat bitches or whatever I don't know.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I just wanted to shed some light about how, you know, that's how taboo it felt like for a lot of men back then, who you know, they've always appreciated big women, but they were just afraid to admit it. Now it's become a lot more socially acceptable, when, you know, deep down inside, I don't think men really had a problem with size.
Well, yeah, no, I always felt like...
and it was just, not to cut you off, but it was like TV and magazines were kind of brainwashing us to let us know what we think the perfect woman should be, or what the perfect size should be for a woman.
So I do agree that it's society. It's also... probably like generational, or, you know, as you mentioned, your family teaching you that these women are big, what do you call them, fat bitches or whatever, or you know, like, to me, I just think that if I had a child, or I wouldn't let my family influence who my child, or, you know, loves, you know what I'm saying? So they don't grow up saying like, I can't date that person because they're bigger, you know, or they're, you know. So anyways, I'm kind of stumbling on words right now, but I do feel like when I used to date as a chubby girl, and that's why I did the show Big Women, Big Love, because I never got wifed up because I was a bigger girl. That was like my thing, because then I would see the guy I was dating with a slimmer girl, or someone that they could bring to their house, hold. So maybe they had the family members telling them, this is whatever, you know, you shouldn't date a bigger girl. They were probably discriminating against me, who knows? But I'm like, I have all the qualities of, if not more, like I have a lot to offer. Like, I'm talented, I'm pretty, like I'm a good woman. But because of my size, you won't wife me up. You know, there's a lot of mentality. That's the mentality. As
much as I hate to admit it, it is out there. Now, I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those people, but it is a thing.
But then here's the thing: on the flip side, like I've never dated a bigger guy. Like it's just not my thing. I'm into guys that are not even like buffed or in shape. Like I just, for me, I kind of like personality over that. Because I really don't have a type given my track history recently. But I'm like, what is my type? I don't know. But I've never dated, I usually get the flaquito, the skinny guy, or the tall guy, or the model type guy that's, physique is not like, I've never dated like, what would you say, like a meathead kind of guy or whatever.
Juice head.
Head. I don't know. For me, the guy has to kind of be intellectual, hold a conversation with me, because that's what attracts me to the person, rather than their physique. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it's more accepting now.
It definitely is, for sure.
And the show was one of those things that was so monumental for me. Like, it's so accepting now to have a plus size partner, But yeah, people are weird. Like, why you gotta be weird? Like, love who you love. Who cares? Like,
exactly.
You never know. People get in shape. People can change. Those are just appearances.
Yeah, and sometimes there's health. There's health things that people can't help. I mean, it could be a thyroid thing.
Right.
It's something that people just like. I know somebody that they were a big girl and they did certain like diets, and they would work out a lot. They did everything that they could to be the healthier version of themselves, but for some reason they just couldn't shed the weight. And then that's when they decided to go to a doctor, and they did surgery and everything. But the doctor even said, like, you actually are the perfect person for this type of thing, because you're not just doing it just to lose weight, but you already got the lifestyle. Right. You just need that little extra push, and they look fantastic now. And but one of the things that people need to realize also is that if they feel like they want to be a better version of themselves physically, that's okay too. But right. But there's no such thing as cutting corners.
And here's the misconception about a bigger person, right? A plus size person. People always associate that with the person being unhealthy. And let me just tell you, I went to get my physical, and all my blood work came back perfect. Like, nothing on there, I checked off on everything. But I do want to see, I'm going to butcher this, endocrinology, I don't know. There's a doctor that check your hormones. I don't know that. See, but
endocrinology or something like that.
Endocrinologist. Yeah. Butchering it. But the one that checks your hormones, I already set up my appointment, because I don't eat crazy, but I'm not working out, but like, I don't lose weight, but I don't gain it. Like, I'm like literally staggered, but my health is great. Like, I'm not pre-diabetic. My cholesterol is great. Like, I'm just thick, and it's like, I know I can lose the weight if I want to, but I'm okay with where I'm at right now,
And I think that, even just beyond the physical aspects, I think your personality is just, like, no pun intended here, just larger than life. I mean, I think that you have this, I think you have this abundant personality that I think that's what people gravitate towards you. And there's just the added bonus that you have a pretty face. So that's.
Oh, not the pretty face. How about the pretty mind?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. People tell big girls that all the time. Oh, you got such a pretty face.
I mean, I'm just telling you something you probably already know. So, but as I was doing my research, or as you call it, stalking, but I know I'm playing along here as well. There was something that you said in one of your socials that I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit. And this can actually expand to a much deeper conversation as far as like mental health is concerned.
Right.
On your threads, where you can find at Mar Ortiz at Threads and Instagram and all that, why do people feel the need to be in a relationship when the best relationship you could have with is yourself? Learn to love you. Learn to be alone. Learn to have peace, and then come find me.
Did I write that?
Yes, you did. That was on your threads.
Jeez, I was in a mood.
But I don't know. I just read that.
Can't even talk today. Philosophical Mar came out.
Yeah.
I can't talk today.
You could sing.
But wow. Yeah. No. I mean, it's true. Like, I think I wrote that because there's a lot of people that just rush themselves into relationships one from the other, right? Like they stop dating one person and they don't take the time out to really reflect, why did that relationship end and how did it end? And I kind of probably was speaking about the previous guy that I was dating, because I found out that he is already he's in an actual relationship. So going back to being, I don't think it was my weight, but he mentioned he didn't want to be in a relationship at the moment. That was his thing.
That's almost kind of in line with the whole "it's not you, it's me" kind of conversation.
Right. And then I kind of kept dating him, went through a weird period. We reconnected, and it ended really quickly because I was letting him know from the beginning, this is what I want. And it didn't align. We didn't match. But he moved on really quickly. And he's already like he's in an actual relationship. Mr. I didn't want a relationship. You just didn't want a relationship with me. It didn't hurt my ego or anything like that. I was like, okay, if you would have just been honest, I would have understood. Like, you didn't want to date me on that level. Like, you could have been like, hey, like, maybe, like, I just want to see you casually, and gave me, I think that's where the frustration was. Like, you could have gave me the upper hand as to what I wanted to do, not what you wanted to do, you know? And you knew that I wasn't going to be that person, but you took advantage of the situation, being a man. And that's where my frustration was. So I'm like, sometimes, and then I look at him and I'm like, you're so lost. And that's where I wrote that. I'm like, sometimes people think this is what they want or need in the moment, but in reality, like, you're not gonna find a better love than the love that you can give yourself. And I've learned that being in these toxic relationships that ended the way they did. And I'm like, okay, I need to love myself a little more. I need to be a little more selective now. I need to be a little bit more guarded, even though it's hard. If you're guarded, you're not gonna meet your person too, but you have to just know when the red flags are there. And I always kind of used to make excuses, whereas now I'm like, no, I love myself that much to protect what I've worked so hard for, and that's peace. Because loving yourself and finding inner peace is just, being in this place now is like so enlightening. It's like, I can't even explain. Like, I'm like, I don't need to be in a relationship. Do I want to find a person? Absolutely. Who doesn't? Like, I think about, damn, when I'm old, like, you know what, who am I gonna spend my life with, you know? Or, but then it's also like, I don't want to settle for the wrong person that's gonna make me end my life sooner, or like, not like make me end my life, but you know, like, you can get a lot of health issues being with the wrong person.
Absolutely, yeah.
So like, you can, you know, you get cancer from all the stress or something, you know?
I mean, that's what caused, you know, luckily it was benign, but something in your throat, right?
Right. Like, when I was dating the guy that was on the show, Richie, like, I was dating him, I was getting a lot of random health scares. Like, I got a benign tumor in my neck, I got shingles. Like, I'm talking about these things because I've experienced them, and that's why I'm like, you know, he could have shortened my lifespan being in that relationship. And sometimes people don't even know that.
Yeah.
And
it gets,
like,
I think it's a real thing, but it gets swept under the rug.
It really, like, your mental health and your actual health is so important. And sacrificing that for love, like, yes, I do believe in love, and I do believe people love each other. It's, you know, but sometimes you got to love yourself to understand what is right and what's wrong. You know, like, I'm like, going forward, especially, you know, after the last guy I dated that went off into the sunset, rode off into the sunset with someone else, I'm like, okay, you tell me. For instance, I did meet I was at a bar having a drink with a friend, catching up, and I met this random guy, and right off the bat, he was like, what do you, like, he's like, I'm not looking for anything serious. Like, if you're trying to find a relationship, you're not going to find it with me. It's like, basically straight up, like, I just want to hook up. And I kind of was like, well, thank you. Because at least you were that, you know, that honest and didn't waste my time. Yeah. And, you know, a lot of women, I'm not just going to blame the men, they settle for that. And they make it easy. It's like, a lot of women now are making it so easy. I'm like, you have to learn how to value and love yourself. Like, okay, so then if you don't want a relationship, then that's it. We have nothing to talk about.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with you because I've now been single for a full year now because I was in a relationship that lasted almost 2 years and it ended back in last July. And what I wanted to do was, and I think you're a better person than me in this aspect, because as soon as I ended that relationship, I didn't go back on the hamster wheel and just started to do what everybody else does when they become single again. They start going on the dating apps and then just putting themselves out in the market, like they're promoting themselves hard out there
Right.
being on the market. When I finally became single, I shouldn't say finally, but when I became single,
Finally.
it is happening to me. But anyway, so when I became single, I consciously told myself that I'm not going to go on any dating apps or anything like that because, I mean, that's how I met my ex in the first place. I met her on Bumble or something.
Right.
Or actually, Steve, take that out because they're not paying me anyway. So I purposely went out and tried to do it organically, and I did that for a full year. I recently just signed up on, after a full year, I signed up on one dating app and only just one because I'm not doing this thing where they're doing multiple ones and then afterwards it's hard to stay in touch with that because the dating world now sucks. It really does. And because of the fact that where we are right now, we have so much options. And I actually had a discussion about this with somebody not too long ago. Like, it seems like we're making it harder in the dating world to actually find peace and find that person because it seems to me at least that everybody, since we all have options now when you're on these dating apps or whatever, that you have a so-called checklist, for lack of a better term, and if they don't fill out every single box, no exceptions, then you just got to move on because the options are out there available for you. When I just feel like people need to be a little bit more open-minded and just don't have a checklist. I mean, actually be more open-minded because you never know. It's almost like you're not willing to expand your horizons or learn something new in another person, or at least that's how I look at it. But I think that you're a much better person than I am because you are staying away from the dating apps and trying to let it focusing. If it would happen, it would happen organically. But most importantly, it seems like at this point in time in life, you're working on yourself more than anything, which is very more prevalent.
100% what's happening in my life right now. Like, I am completely dedicated to me and going back to what I wrote on Threads, loving myself, not overly loving, but there's not a such thing as overly loving. You should overly love yourself. And I'm giving myself the things that in the life that I want, so that if I find a partner, he has to be equal. I think yes, dating apps are ruining the world, and I think that people having expectations are as well. But for me, I'm solely focused on me. If I find my person, I'm not gonna be like, I don't have this checklist. I don't think, but he has to be on that level of peace and healing. Everything else can work itself out, but like, I'm not like, I know people are not perfect, but the dating world, the dating apps, literally, they're trash. Yeah. Like, I never been on one. I get on them and I'm like, let me try. Literally trash. Like, I'm like, let me try this out. I've given it so many opportunities, and every time I get on there, men overwhelm me. Like, it's literally like one message after the other one, and then it's usually a lot of them are like hook up, but like, and I'm like, yo, this is why people don't want to commit. Because if you could log into a dating app and find a woman that's down to just DTF, you know what I'm saying? Why would you commit into a relationship? Right. But going back to me, like, this is why I'm like on a journey of, like, I haven't even had sex, and then, like, I'm being like real with you, like maybe like a year ever since I ended the last situationship, whatever that I had.
Right.
I think my vagina now is like, are you alive, girl? Like, are you still there? Because it's.
Does the coochie fresh still apply though?
The coochie is always fresh, and the coochie fresh is always going to be. But yeah, it's even fresher than ever. You know what I'm saying? Because of how, but that's the point that I'm trying to make. Like, I love myself so much that if anyone's going to enter into my life, they have to be on the same exact wave of self-love, discovery, and healing the traumas in their life. And that's where I'm at. Like, that's where it pisses me off because people don't stop to actually look at themselves and say, I have XYZ or all this trauma, and try to heal that. Like, they just want to distract themselves with another individual and then fuck up that other individual.
Oh yeah.
It's like a vicious cycle.
Yes, it's a vicious cycle. It's a chain reaction. I mean, I think you kind of answered this question already, but in another one of your threads, you said some women want a man with money. I just want a man who's solid. I think you just kind of described,
and that's what it is.
Yeah.
The statement is literally what I'm looking for. I work very hard, and my parents taught me that. Like, my parents are hard workers. I'm not like spoon fed. My parents are not rich. They're just hardworking 9 to 5, Puerto Ricans.
Yeah. Now, was that one of the misconceptions when you were on Big Women, Big Love? Like you actually came from a privileged background? Because without not knowing you at the time, that's how it kind of came off in the beginning. But this is all from the editing, it seemed. So
I would not, like, my parents, like, they work hard for what they have, the homes that we have. Like, my mom was a billing clerk in a home health company, and my dad was a factory worker, and like they just literally 9 to 5,
right.
Worked hard, saved their money, and yeah, people do have that misconception, but they don't understand that I work hard for what I have. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know that personally because I see you hustling. So
I have the advantage right now, or not the advantage, the blessing of still being at home because I'm single. I don't have kids. Rent is absolutely insane, so I'm grateful for my family, but we help each other out. And the misconception of that, like, I have nice things, but I can because my situation allows me to have that.
Right.
Because I do work hard. I have so many jobs. Like, I'm the Jack of the Jill, not the Jack. Yeah. The Jill of all trades. Like,
or the Jackie.
I do also hair and makeup. I work for an airline. Like, I have
You're
so
a dog
many.
mom.
I'm a dog mom. There's a lot of layers to me. But the one thing is, like, I'm always gonna get this money. Like, I have to get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I work hard for what I have, and I'm not, again, spoon-fed or anything like that.
Right. No, and that's the point that I was getting at, because before I really got to the chance to know you on a personal level, I just knew you at a certain time from just the show, and I guess the show made it seem like it kind of painted you like in a privileged light. But as I got to know you on a personal level, I saw that you were pretty much self-made, and you come from a background of hardworking parents.
Right. No,
so you can't always believe everything that you see on TV. I guess is my point.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I don't know. I don't think I saw myself in that light of privilege because I think that, especially in this climate, like, being privileged, I associate that with a white person. Sorry. I'm like, I am not privileged, especially because of the color of my skin. That would never make me privileged. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
I'm like... That sounds kind of messed up. I hope I'm not being offensive, but it's just being real. And I have friends from all walks of life. Like, I have white friends, black friends, Latino friends, everybody, Chinese, everything. But I associate that, again, with being privileged is...
Actually, with actual privileged people, yeah.
Actually privileged, but no.
All right. So switching gears here a little bit. So I want to give you... I'm going to give you a list here real quick. We have Go From Here, Cray Cray, My Heart, Want Me Back, Moving On.
I never took those down.
And He's Broken. Which one would you say was the most personal to you? And these are songs, by the way.
The songs that I wrote when I was young, when I was in the music.
Yeah.
You didn't mention Skateboard. That was the one from the show, but I would say Go From Here for sure.
Why would you say Go From Here was your most personal?
Because it was like the first heartbreak. I wrote that song because I was really brokenhearted. Like, that was like the first guy that ripped my heart out, and I was like, where do I go from here? I was like, so, and like, I literally started, writing off of that. Like, I was so fucking confused. Like, wait, what? This is how it feels when you really love someone?
Yeah. I mean, I felt it not just in your words, but in the way you sang it too, because I would say that these are all great songs, by the way, but I think the one Go From Here was the one where I felt like it was your most passionate as well. Like
Right.
you actually really spilling your guts out into whatever personal, problems that you were going through at the time with the relationships and whatnot. So it was, and also you have a video for it too. So go check it out on YouTube. So
Thank you. Shout out. Oh my God. Yes, I haven't recorded music actually
since 2015.
Since the show. Yeah, my last song was Skateboard, and it was done in real time because in the beginning, like the first episode, I tell my ex skate on out of here, and I
And
flung his skateboard, and I was like, nah, that was not stage. I was really pissed. I was like, skate the fuck on out of here, right? Like, and my producer was like, oh my God, you need to write a song called Skateboard, and I hit up my producer, Shy Bugs, and I'm like, oh my God, we need to write a song about skateboard, and I started we bounced off of ideas and we created Skateboard, which is great.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I love music. Music is definitely I love songwriting, but right now I'm in my Doña era. I'm so in a different place in my life. But a lot of people ask me, they're like, you should get back into music. You should start songwriting. That's always been your passion.
Yeah, but I you know what? I guess with all the different things that we're touching about you in this episode, I just at the end of the day, I look at you as a multi-talented person. I mean, you do the podcast, you've done a little bit of acting, you're still in the business essentially. You've been able to sing and songwrite. You're multi-layered in a lot of talents, and I think that there's actually more to come from you, more than you realize. But get into another aspect, which is also one of the things that I knew I definitely wanted to bring you on the show, was your own podcast, What This Is Life.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I'm a fan of the show. I love it. I can't wait for you to get back into it. I know it's a little bit of a hiatus right now, but I do remember that when we were discussing the show a little bit, you had an idea of what you wanted the show to be about, and you had a lot of gems that you wanted to drop, but then also it kind of progressed into kind of like a current event show, and then you mentioned that you wanted to expand on a little bit more and not just get so rah-rah and political and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So what would you say that you learned from the beginning of starting What This Is Life to when you last recorded, how much you grew as a podcaster in itself? Because for me, I've told this story many times where I actually started in my apartment closet, because it was soundproof, and I started with a little recorder and a microphone, and then I've been able to expand and grow on it, and now we're finally in this lovely studio space, Bravey Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. So, but I also feel like I love the progression, because I feel like if I just waited for a moment where I just needed everything to fall in place, I probably would have stayed stagnant talent-wise. I probably would have just overextended myself and then just feel like I got nothing else to do. But I love the process that I went on, because I feel like I grew not just from the show aspect and the aesthetics, but I also grew as a host in myself.
Right.
So what would you say has helped you actually grow into a better podcast host?
So right now I am very stagnant, and you just pointed that out, because I took an initial hiatus because I had surgery.
Right.
So that I had to do. I couldn't podcast with a neck brace on, but but
I mean, you can, but not on video.
Not on video. I ain't Kanye West over here through the wire.
Through the brace.
Through the brace. I literally needed to take the time to heal, and then I came back for a very brief period. But what I think people don't realize is podcasting looks easy. It's a lot harder to be committed if you have other things going on in your life. But also the podcast, I had to learn everything. And learning to be a better podcaster is literally day to day. There's things that you learn every single day, and you grow. And from the first episode where the mic wasn't really on, it was literally my computer recording me, the audio. So now I look at it and I'm like, holy crap. I was just learning how to do audio, just learning how to do the video, just editing. I'm a one-woman show. I don't have Lovely Steve. I wish I had Lovely Steve helping me. You know what I'm saying?
Not yet.
But I literally am a one-woman show, and every day I'm learning and growing. And when I do come back with the podcast,
right,
I want to definitely be more of a host where I interview guests. Like I want people to come on as this show, and I want other people to bring insight to the podcast, because I do have a lot of point of views, but I feel like it will kind of hit a moment where people might get bored of just hearing my voice the whole time. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, what else? You know, like it's just you talking into a camera. Like I need to give the audience more content. You know, and also I think it's great to have like a podcast where you have guests and you talk, make, you know, more of a talk show kind of, you know, vibe. But I did get to a point where I was like so political. I was like, fuck Trump. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to take that down because they might come arrest me if he does win. You know what I'm saying? He's like, what'd you say?
The feds are watching, yeah.
They watching, they listening. And everybody's like, are you scared? And I'm like, it's my right to say that. Listen, if his homies
While we still have it.
Right, I said,
while we still have the right.
If his homies went to D.C. and wrecked the whole entire Congress, you know?
Oh, you talking about the insurrection?
The insurrection. Yeah. That was wild.
I know.
But
it felt like a movie.
Oh, man.
A bad one, too.
I'm like, are we living in an actual, like, one of those movies? What are you like
a disaster
the
film?
Matrix.
Oh, the Matrix, there you go.
Everyone refers it to the Matrix.
Yeah.
Or what's the Truman Show? Like, this is insane. The government came out the other day saying like, we believe in aliens. And people were like, okay, anyways.
Yeah, gas is high, so.
They're like, how am I going to get this gas right now in my car? You know, like, they didn't even fucking care. They're like,
yeah, like, hey, that's
I just
great.
Want to chill with my alien homies. Like, they do not care.
That's great, but did you lower the price on eggs yet? That kind of shit, yeah. Yeah. Well,
living and breathing is expensive. You know?
I'm on a breathing budget at this point.
Not breathing budget.
Hey, the way the world is going right now, but you know, we don't want to get too political on that. I mean, you don't want to do that too much on your show. You're bringing the political just now on my show.
I know. See, it's hard not to, especially, you know, when those are things that are affecting our lives, like day to day.
I guess it's one of those things where we don't want to talk about, but we can't ignore it either.
It's hard. Like I want to touch on it, but I also don't want to make it the entire scene, you know, or the entire, you know. But one of the things is society, like that is, and I'm actually, so what a lot of people don't know about me is that I'm actually getting a bachelor's degree in business administration. So I'm, you know, doing online courses and I'm doing sociology right now. And I was like, damn, this is hard when you're like so aware of society, right? I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. I was like, who made this shit up? No, seriously. Like,
I got you.
If I would have went to college, like straight out of high school, you know, you're ignorant, you still don't know the world, but I know the world way too much now. I'm like, fuck this fucking course. I just want to get through it.
I get it. I didn't go to college right out of high school either, so.
But yeah, no, it's been very interesting, and I'm actually, I think I'm so more aware now of actually being like in school. Like I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, I could skim through it because I'm like, oh wait, I know what this is. Next, you know, it's like, who doesn't know what sociology is, right? We live.
Tons of sociopaths around, yeah.
Right, not sociopaths.
I'm kidding.
No, but you know, that's more psychology.
Right.
Yeah.
But
sociology is just knowing society and people, and I've lived through every stage and that you could think of, and I think that's what people should live, is stages in their life, and just keep growing. Like right now, like I said, I'm in my doña era. Like, I'm getting my education. You know, I'm trying to get a college degree. I'm gonna be that 45-year-old with a cap and gown. Like, Mom, I really made it now. Like, the TV show was, again, everyone's like, I think a lot of people have expectations of how successful people are because of their circumstances, right? Like, I got the opportunity, and that's all it was. Like, I didn't make a ton of money off of it.
Right.
You know? but it was just, oh my God, I got to experience and grow from that. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I know what it is to be on a TV show, on a reality show. So there's, again, so many layers of me, so many stages. But the one thing that I don't do is, I'm not ever discouraged. Because people are like, oh my God, it must have been hard. Like, you didn't get a season 2. No, to me, I was okay with it. Then, now, whatever. My life, I go with the flow of my life, you know, and where I'm at right now, you know, and I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm grateful to be alive, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I don't think that people should be discouraged by their success or have like this level of, for instance, like the podcast. Like, let's just say I'm going to start my podcast again. I'm doing it because, as you mentioned, you love to do it.
Yeah, this is my passion. Yes.
It's your passion. Whether you reach the ultimate success, like, who are these podcasters that are famous? Like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, or Joe Budden.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Would it really matter? I feel like
no.
What matters is that you're doing it, right? And that you're enjoying it. And people always be like, well, you haven't gone viral, or you just need that one moment of going viral. And I'm like, but do I really though? Because for me, I started the podcast because I have a voice and I had an audience from the show too.
Yes.
But I also like to motivate and inspire anyone. It doesn't have to be 350 million followers on Instagram.
Right.
I don't have to be a Kardashian.
Exactly, and I'm so
I
glad
could be a Mardashian.
and I'm glad you said that, because you know, one of the things that I know that we have in common is that we're big mental health advocates, and we're very big proponents of therapy. And just what you were just saying right now, like, you don't have to have like 350 million followers or anything, because one of the best moments that I've had as a podcaster is when I was very fortunate enough to be on Let's Talk Jets Radio with my good friend Tyson Roush, and we did a mental health episode strictly. Like, he does a football show, but he's also a very big mental health advocate, and we just did an episode dedicated to just that. And me sharing my story, I was able to reach out to somebody from all the way from Las Vegas, who I never stepped foot in Vegas before, but they saw the episode that I did, and they reached out to me on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it now, and he just wanted to thank me for helping him try to want to get closure after the death of his father, because that's something that I experienced as well. So, to your point, I don't need 400 or 500 million followers on Instagram or anything. I think that the fact that I was able to make somebody feel like they can get closure in their life because they didn't feel alone is worth it any other million of followers that I can get. And you know, besides the fact that this is my passion, and I've mentioned before that I wanted to get into the radio business, and that's why I started podcasting. I never got in it for monetary reasons. You know, I think a lot of people are going to try to judge the success or the merits of the show on how much money I make or how much followers I get. At the end of the day, I could be doing this for 20 years, maybe even more than that, and I could have a loyal following of just 6 people. I'm still going to do this shit because I could at least say that I'm doing something that a lot of people are afraid to do. And that's not necessarily just podcasting, that's just anything that they want to do.
Right.
And I actually found something that I love to do, and no amount of money is going to, you know, fulfill the joy that I feel right now sitting here talking on this microphone and talking to people like you. That's like, it's things like that that's always going to make the highlight of my day, and that's what I'm looking for at the end of the day, is happiness.
Right. And happiness is also within yourself. Right, yeah. No matter what's around you, no matter the podcast, it's like you have to find your own, what makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, I always get like, well, what are you trying to do with the podcast? Like, you know, I'm like, I don't know right now. Like, I'm trying to find my way in life doing the things that I enjoy, you know? And I started the podcast because someone was like, oh my God, you should do a podcast, kind of put the idea. And I was like, you know what? I think I should, because I talk a lot, right? Like, I always you know, in my part-time job in the airlines, my coworkers like, cállate. They literally like I'll grab a customer and I'm like literally talking, and they're like, you're like the nicest airport employee I've ever come. I'm like, yeah, because just that's who I am. But I like to I love engaging with people. And connecting, and that's also what a podcast does. It connects you. And going back to what you just told me, that story that you connected with a person in Las Vegas, like I've had that experience of connecting with so many different, people. They send me a DM and whatnot, right? And it just like, even that one person that reached out to tell you, I really appreciated how, or I thought it was amazing that you were so supportive and of your friend, or what you said helped me out to have a better understanding. Like you inspired me to be more confident, or like those things are way more than any monetary thing that could ever come into your life. So yeah, no, I think people just have to do what they love, and then everything else will fall into place. But don't fall from grace. Like, don't feel like your life is over if you didn't succeed, because you have to try.
Yeah.
If you don't ever try, you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
And if it didn't work out, that's okay. Move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
To figure out where you need to be.
Yeah.
A lot of people just give up. They're like, okay, this didn't work, so whatever. I've and essentially, like, I haven't given up. Like, I'm again in a different stage in my life, but I haven't given up trying to figure out where I belong, or what my purpose is.
Right. No, never give up. So, going back to the show just one more time, I just wanted to touch on this real quick, and I think this is really important that I want to know about, and also it could actually help out other people out there that are watching and listening. You did the show back in 2015.
Right.
We're in 2023 now. When you look back at the old Mar from 2015 to the Mar now in 2023, what advice would you give the 2015 Mar that you know now in 2023 about yourself?
It's gonna be okay. Literally, it's gonna be okay. That's simple. Because sometimes we're in moments in our life where we feel like things are not gonna be okay, and we feel like it's so hard, and you're never going to get past that in the moment, or you don't know how to get past it. But then I look at all the many times I, for instance, cried in that toxic relationship. And I'm like, oh my God, I wasted so many goddamn tears. I wish I would have never cried. But also being vulnerable and having feelings and crying, it's actually cleansing to you. I would be scared if I didn't feel any type of an emotion or empty. You know what I'm saying? If I was like an empty person, an empty shell, because there's a lot of people out there, and that's where you get the empty shells, where the person's a narcissist or a psychopath, or that's where you get those people that you should steer away from.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Not only a romantic relationship, a narcissist, we could get into that, could be in your family, your parents, your siblings, whoever. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, believe me, I know. Absolutely.
For me, it's like, I would tell the old Mar in 2015, I would tell her, you're going to be okay.
Nice. Round of applause real quick, Steve. We really appreciate that. Yeah, so honestly, we're about to close out this episode a little bit, and I'm a little bit sad about it, because I'm really enjoying talking to you right now, and I feel like we could continue on and on. We could do a longer episode, but who's to say that you can't come on the show again?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate all the kindness that you've always showed me, and the persistence, because you have been requesting my for me to be on the show for like a year, but I had so much going on. And then you had some, like we were like, I have something going on, you have something, you know what I'm saying? But we finally, here we are a year later. But thank you for having me, and being, again, so persistent.
Right. Well, I mean, I just felt like I felt like it was going to be worth it, and I definitely feel like it was worth it after all this time.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. But before we go, I
hope your audience loves this episode.
They will, trust me. If I know my audience as well as I think I do, I think they're going to love you. But I just have one more question, just to end it off as a positive note, and then we ask everybody that comes onto the show. So you, Mar Ortiz.
Right.
It seems like your life has been a movie in a lot of ways. So if they actually were to make your life into an actual movie, which actress would you like to see portray your character, and why?
Oh, I don't know.
It could be anybody. There's no right or wrong answer.
Okay, I know. Alma was, oh my God. Why can't I think of
I think I know who you're talking about.
The one that just played Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah, in Blonde or something?
Alma what's her, how you say her name? We're gonna look it up.
Jesus Christ, I can't. Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas. See, I don't know. I said I was calling her Arma. Like, what the fuck? I just created a whole new actress. Arma.
Why do you think that she'd be great to portray your character?
I just think that, well, I loved her in Marilyn, even though people were talking shit about that. But people have to understand it was based off a fictional character of Marilyn, right? Mm-hmm. And it was like, just her acting abilities are great. She's Latina, and she's just beautiful. Like, who else? I'm like, yo, even if she gained weight, she's gonna be hot. She gonna be a sexy gordita.
I love it. So, that's awesome. I love that answer. Nobody's given that answer, so you got that right now. So
yes, so yeah, it would be her.
Okay, all right, awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of First Class Second Place. I can't even talk now. Now I'm tongue twisted. But thank you so much, Mar Ortiz, for coming through here. Again, I really appreciate this. This was definitely well worth it, and I can't wait to have you on the show again. Yes. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to before we close out?
Give a shout out to your podcast.
First Class Second Place. Thank you very much. Where can they find you on social media real quick?
At Mar Ortiz for Twitter, Threads, and Instagram. And then What This Is Life on YouTube.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at JasonEnrique_ on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Threads, everything. Just JasonEnrique_ on everything. Thank you for tuning in on the episode. Iglesias. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the First Class Second Place podcast. We out.